up, Woodward. We are starting off your day with a brand new crew. Meet Broder.
I can't control my arms sometimes. My limbs are just kind of flying.
Detroit Kool-Aid.
Fired up!
Y'all got Kool-Aid
I'm
hot.
fired up! But with the Wake Up Woodward crew, he's actually a part of the family.
Flannel Sam.
Ask me about my wiener! Okay.
Along with JB and KG. Wake Up Woodward gets you all of your Detroit sports talk. Every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Live on Woodward Sports. A show for Detroit, by Detroit, with people from Detroit. Tell Siri to set an alarm. Because it's time to Wake Up Woodward.
What up, though, people, man? It's Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for kicking off the day with the WUW Crew. It's your boy, Brandon Dan, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Hey, the other ball know over here, that's Flannel Sam, also Red Wings correspondent, and just all sports knower in general. How you feeling this morning, brother?
I mean, I'm feeling good about the win last night. I'll just say that. What does it mean? Time will tell. But it was very satisfying to watch. The Red Wings actually looked like a damn good team, at least last night, from start to finish.
Yeah, bro, we were texting last night. I was excited. I was like, okay, dope. The win is secured. We already know we're talking about the open because we got us a victory show. And you know what? I think that the only thing that can really bring some type of solace, it doesn't quite erase the pain or the taste, and it never will, of what happened with the Lions season.
Yeah.
But if we can see these Pistons and these Red Wings have a trajectory towards playoffs and be able to at least finally cash in on our investments that felt so hopeless for years, then you know what, man, I'm all in on it, bro. I'm hoping the Red Wings cash in. I'm really hoping they do, but shout out to those Pistons. I know we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. The Lions also made a hire which you could see as under the radar, but I think the fact that who they got, the resume that he had, we definitely have to talk about it. We have to talk about a certain subset of fans who have been coming out this week, and we definitely saw a very explosive show on Ermanni and Edwards, I believe, on Tuesday between Stick and Anson, and we have to talk about that because unfortunately it's something that's always going to be lurking no matter what, I think, until the Lions win a Super Bowl. And of course, we got to talk about Cade Cunningham not being named an all-star starter, but is pretty much a mortal lock to be a reserve. Was it disrespectful? Is this just steps that he needs to take? We'll talk about it. But first, the Detroit Red Wings, man.
Those Detroit Red Wings. Yeah, talk about a victory last night that was much needed. I know that early on you were talking about it, man. You were like, guys, just get the win. Get the dub. So that we can at least have a little bit more that we can talk about. We know what the expectations were. We know how things felt when we talked about the Todd father and the Todd Magic that just took over after that first game. Everything seemed like, you know what, we're headed finally in the right direction. Then you hit some speed bumps. With both this team and the Pistons, what I'm looking at right now with the new coaches is how they respond to those speed bumps. How do you respond to a couple losses? Because that's not going to be the last time it happens. And if you're going to be a playoff team, you're going to have to be one that can respond to this and overcome this type of adversity.
Yeah, I mean, they had a tough road trip following a 7-game winning streak, which was awesome, by the way. But unfortunately, with that 7-game win streak and then losing 3 out of 4 on the road, although getting a point at Philly, it really highlighted the hole that the Red Wings had dug for themselves by playing so poorly at the beginning of the season under Derek Lund. But if you want to just isolate last game was incredibly important and impactful. This was a Canadiens team that at one point in the year was down in the dumps like the Red Wings, but have also been hot. And now they actually are, if the season ended today, they would have one of the last wild card spots. So it was very nice for the Red Wings to get a win against a team that they were chasing, a team that had beat the piss out of them a couple of times in a home and home earlier this season. But the Red Wings returned the favor by beating the absolute piss out of the Canadiens. It was one of the most dominant performances I've seen from a Red Wings team in a while. 45 shots to only 29 by Montreal. You saw scoring from all different lines. You saw they got a power play goal, they got a shorthanded goal, they got a 5-on-5. Defensively, they were stout. You saw them dominate possession. They were pretty much playing in the offensive zone damn near the whole game. You saw great goaltending play, which has been very, very spotty even when they've been playing better lately. It was just a dominant performance, and you absolutely love to see it. And now, following that win, the Red Wings are 4 games out of a final wild card spot. It's still a tough hill to climb out of, but it was just a great game to watch, and hopefully it can springboard to a couple more wins on this homestand.
Yeah, because the issue here is similar to the Pistons with potentially trying to catch the Indiana Pacers, is that the Pacers who are ahead of them just keep winning. When you look at what's going on right now in these last 10, the Red Wings haven't played badly, 6-3-1. You would think, hey, maybe we can jump a few teams. The problem is you got squads in front of them that are going 7-0-3 like the New York Rangers. And so this team is going to have to find a way to really minimize. They're in a different position in the Pistons. When you're talking about trying to catch potentially that last wild card spot, which they're about 4 points out of right now behind the Blue Jackets, you don't really have the opportunity to go on those kind of 2 or 3 game stinkers.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the issue with that road trip. But Chase, what did you see from this team last night?
J'aime les Canadiens. I was happy to see him get the win.
Yeah.
It's always good to beat an original 6 rival. Good to see. I mean, ever since McClellan took over, it's been about getting the vets and to raise their floor of play to what we know that they're capable of, more to what they're being paid to play, so that way the young guys have their room to grow and develop, and that's what we've seen. So it's good to see us get back in the win column. Tough loss on Tuesday night in Philly in overtime. I mean, yeah, we got a point, but you don't when you're chasing teams in the standings, you're not trying to give them any room to to keep that distance ahead of you. So good to see him fight hard, and they got to keep it up. We got a nice stretch of games to end the month, so let's just keep fighting throughout January, and then bring home like a winning February.
Well said, because it'll be essential if the Red Wings want to make the playoffs. Crayons for breakfast with the Super Chat. It's just good to see them play effing hockey, and we all know that's what Todd McClellan that's kind of Todd McClellan's tagline at this point, because despite the tough road trip, they are still a winning team under Todd McClellan. They've been playing much better. And when you look at last night, I want to go through a couple of players that really stood out to me. Obviously, number one is my captain, Dylan Larkin. He had a heck of a game.
Game 700.
Yes, game 700, and I believe points 550 and 551. He deserves to be in the playoffs sometime. God damn it! But we'll see what happens.
Don't fail my captain.
I know, but he did everything he could. He had one of his best games he's played all year. 9 shots on goal, a power play goal at the end of the game to give them their 4th, and also that beautiful assist and just a display of offensive playmaking to Bergeron at the beginning of the game, in which he carried in the puck from the defensive zone to the offensive zone, kind of dumped it in, won it in the corner, and just found an open Jonathan Bergeron for the first goal of the game. And speaking of playmaking, how about that pass from Lucas Raymond basically at the buzzer of the first period, in which he basically had the Canadiens defense and goaltender faked out like he was going to shoot, and then just zipped it over to DeBrincat, who buried an open net. It was beautiful. Those are some that's just a display of offensive playmaking that you love to see from your 2 best offensive playmakers, Raymond and Larkin. Those are the 2 guys this season who offensively have really... There's nothing I can say bad about them. They're stars. They're doing their thing. It's just you haven't gotten enough consistency from the 5-on-5, from the depth scoring. But even last night, the nice shorthanded breakaway goal by Andrew Kopp. You love to see it. He buried that one. Power play has pretty much been even supercharged under Todd McClellan to now where they're number 3 in the league, and they got one last night courtesy of Dylan Larkin. But also 3 of 3 on the penalty kill, something that they've been morbid at all season and are still morbid at. They're still second worst, but
they found a way last night.
That's the thing, though. I feel like I'm a broken record when I talk about these Detroit Red Wings, because unfortunately I wasn't really here to bask in the glory of the 7-game winning streak. When they get big wins like that, when they beat a team that in the standings is better than them, I look at them and I say, man, they're doing things last night that they haven't really done consistently all season. They're still not a very good goaltending team. They're still not a very good defensive team. They're still a bad 5-on-5 team, but not last night. And what they showed me last night is they are a team that is capable of a dominating win against a really young and good up-and-coming team, the Canadiens. And that was certainly, it was encouraging. They still need to do more, but last night was, it was very encouraging. It was effing hockey is what that was.
Definitely. And you know what? You covered. This team has some expectations. We talk about those recipes. They have the recipe to make it. And the hope here is that the Todd father is going to be able to help them play a lot more consistent. I've seen the Stars. They just seem to be kind of reignited. Those names that you all, throughout the course of the season, wanted to see be those guys underneath the Todd father, it seems like they are. I'm hearing those names a lot more. And I'm hoping that some of the more team play aspects improve under him as well as these Stars continue to get that rhythm. Same thing we see with the Pistons, and now they look like they're in a groove right now, man. So let's go, because you know what? They make these playoffs. How packed is LCA going to be for the Red Wings?
I mean, it'll be
everywhere.
It'll be like it was for the Tigers, where you couldn't get tickets unless you wanted to pay a bit of a king's ransom, and that would be well earned. This is hockey town. The Red Wings have had a drought after many, many years of being in the playoffs, and this would be really something tangible for the Iser plan. And I get it. We all have varying degrees on the Iser plan and how much it's working, how disappointing it's been. But I think we would all agree that if the Red Wings make the playoffs, the Iser plan is right on track. But it's a big if, because the East is tough. They're chasing Columbus, and they're also chasing Tampa Bay, which we all know what Tampa Bay can do, but they're aging a little bit. They don't have Stamkos anymore. But Chase.
I was going to say, I feel like Tampa Bay is kind of like what we were at the end of our playoff run, where it's like, you know you've got enough pieces to get in, but are you really going to be a threat to like make it out of the first round? Like,
no, they're not.
Yeah.
They have to taste it though. They got to get there, man.
Yeah, they got to get there.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean you're going to give up, but it's just like they're gonna steal a spot from a team that like might be able to like fight for it a little bit harder.
That's fair. No, I mean, you're absolutely right about Tampa Bay. No Stamkos. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not good, but you're right. They're aging. They've got their cups. They got their run, and you got to give them credit for that. But hopefully, I mean, the Red Wings' next game is home against Tampa Bay, and to me, that's a huge game. I'm looking to them. If I'm looking to them in terms of me being back all in as this team is going to make the playoffs, this team is going to reach my expectations, it would really behoove them, and yes, I said behoove them, to win against Tampa Bay and win against the Los Angeles Kings. It would give them an undefeated homestand. Is that a tall task? Are they both good teams? Yes, but as I said, when you dig a hole that they dug at the beginning of the season, not even the Todd McClellan infusion is enough for them to be in a playoff spot. Not even a 7-game winning streak is enough for them to withstand a poor stretch of play. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Talking about teams we're chasing too, Sam, Tampa and Columbus, we do play them 3 times in our next 11 games. So we do have opportunities to, go head-to-head against them and make up some points in the standings.
And unfortunately, that might make or break the season, but it's the nature of the game, but it's also an opportunity. So it's like I said, the way that they played against Montreal was, I think, their most complete game of the season, in which they really dominated the Canadiens at every facet, including facets where I didn't think that they could dominate, and they did. What does that mean? It means that they're capable of a performance like that, and I wasn't sure. I don't think there's been a whole lot of evidence throughout the season that they were capable of doing something like this, but they did, and hopefully it translates to games against Columbus and Tampa Bay, because they're going to need those, because the playoffs are still the goal.
Yeah, definitely, because I see Gromit in here, so hold the Wings to a standard. Oh, I know that at least this panel is. Yeah. The playoffs is the goal. That is the expectation, and that's what they're going to be held to, however they have to get there. I do believe they have a little bit more of that makeup with Todd McClellan here to be able to put these players in the right position to have longer stretches of success. I don't believe that this is the last time we'll see, 4, 5, 6, 7 game type winning streak out of the Red Wings. I think we're going to see that at another time under them. They have some good scorers. They got some good skaters. They got some people that can handle the puck well. Those things we've already seen pay dividends for them this year. And as they get more comfortable, get more into a rhythm, get more whatever the terminology is that this coach uses, when they get more comfortable together, I believe we see them hit a stride. Like we talked about JB Bickerstaff. The players were like, a light bulb went off. We actually get it. We saw better play before we actually saw it show up in the record. You know, and with the Red Wings, though, we actually got to see them start off hot underneath Todd McClellan just by telling these guys, go out there and do what you do best. I am not here to restrict that at all. And so now the second layer of that I feel is like now being able to get in and really instilling your style of play, terminology, connections, and relationships with this team as well.
Don't you wish we would have had Todd McClellan at the beginning of the year?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, I wasn't ever calling for them to fire Lalonde after last season. It's hindsight, but you can tell that these players are responding differently. You can tell that they believe in the vision more, that Todd McClellan is somebody that we've gone over this, that has been a successful head coach led multiple organizations 3 to the playoffs, is the best coach in San Jose Sharks history. And Derek Lalonde, unfortunately, was just a hot assistant who flamed out in Detroit. So I'm not mad that they took a swing, but you just wish they had Todd McClellan the whole year. And you wish that Steve Yzerman maybe would have made one more move, but that's another topic for another day. Another topic for Woodward Wings, probably, that we're going to record after this. But they played effing hockey last night, and they won, and hopefully, but they got to do a lot more.
JB Smooth, we're going to have to make sure we get some previews for them. I know that Woodward Ringside is like the official pilot for the podcast network.
Yeah.
But Woodward Wings is second up, next up. And they got some content, man. They got some content. I can't wait to see what you all do. I know they got some stuff they're going to break down today. And where you want to go for all your just diehard breakdown, these guys putting their full focus into the Wings for you all, is Woodward Wings. So I can't wait to see this hit. Members will be able to receive it right away. If you're not a member, we will be definitely trying to do some membership gifts. And if you just want to subscribe as a member, you can as well, and you will have access to the bonus content. But shout out to Crayons for Breakfast, man. I saw this, and it just, man, it's a grind doing this, Flannel. It is really a grind doing this. And this stuff, it means the world when we see the likes and when I see comments like this. I love when I'm able to sneak into WU from work. Lots of longtime chat homies and not all new Lions fans. LOL. Shout out to you guys, man, for the support, because the chat family is always the most important part of this thing, and it helps us tremendously when you guys hit that like button. So thank you guys for kicking off the day with us.
What color crayon would you guys eat for breakfast?
Me?
Yeah.
The one closest to like blue Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I like, some call it a shade. My favorite color is black. So I'd probably eat a black crayon.
It's probably red for me. It's probably red for me.
Fair enough. Chase,
red crayon.
you?
I'll go with green or orange to try to trick myself into like making it a fruit or vegetable.
Fair enough. That's actually
fair.
fair. But do you know what else is fair? Is that we have to TLB when we get back. Shout out Matt Broder, because they made them. Hey. They made themselves, they got a hire yesterday that is directly replacing somebody that they just lost, and we have to talk about it. But Chase, first, tell us about 1800 Tequila.
1800 is the official tequila of Woodward Sports, Lions watch parties, and post-game show. You can enjoy some 1800 tequila and enjoy Woodward Sports every Lions game live at Hayes Social in Shelby Township, and celebrate the wins with the smooth 1800 Tequila, proud sponsor of your Detroit Lions. 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila, and remember to please drink responsibly.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce. Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
New year, new you. How about a new car? Les Stanford Buick GMC is here for you. Get a 2025 Hummer EV SUT for 24 months with 10,000 miles a year. Yes, JB. I said it wrong the first time. I actually didn't even know what SUT was. I
didn't know either, trust me.
Because I am an idiot. For only $699 per month, just a $1,999 down payment, or a 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 Crew Cab, 24 months with 10,000 miles a year for only $359 per month. Sign and drive, no down payment required, GM discount required for both. Get to Les Stanford today or click on the QR code on the screen and check out our massive inventory. Les Stanford Buick at GMC, LesStanford.com.
What up, though, people? Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for kicking off the day with the WUW Crew. And you know what, JB Smooth, let's figure out who the Lions fans are. Let's figure out who the Detroit sports fans are. Let's figure out, you know what, who voted for Cade Cunningham, because those are the ones that we know also hit the like button, man, these Detroit sports fans. If you love Detroit sports, go ahead and smash that like button for the WUW Crew. And shout out to our brother Matthew Broder, that dude Justin, our brother KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick. Won't be with us for today's show. Should be back with us on Tuesday. Shout out to you. But we do got Cavassier Chase in the sound booth. We got JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP, in the TD booth. You guys already know about Flannel Sam and your boy Kool-Aid. And we got a TLB word to our brother Matthew Broder, because there was some news yesterday that you might have heard of. And it's interesting when you look at the Tampa Bay Times, the TampaBay.com is their website. They're just kind of worried right now. They're like already sad that probably one of the best pieces of their defensive coaching unit is gone in terms of K.C. Rogers. He's coming to the Detroit Lions, accepted the same position that Terrell Williams had. But they're also having to write the article that a name that we also know in Larry Foote is scheduled to interview Foote with the Lions as well. So, you know what? There were some decent things that I liked about the Tampa Bay defense, especially when they came here to Ford Field. And you can't go wrong with the hiring of K.C. Rogers, in my opinion.
I was going to say that it's impressive that the Detroit Lions were able to convince a K.C. Rogers, who had a nice gig in Tampa Bay as their D-line coach, getting to coach up guys like Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey and Yaya Diaby and stuff like that. A team that had consistently been in the playoffs, had won the division this year, but unfortunately had lost to the Commanders, who the Commanders ended up beating us, had actually been a part of a Super Bowl winning coaching staff in 2020. He made a lateral move to the Detroit Lions. So obviously he believes in what the Lions are building. I think it shows a lot about the Lions' ability to replenish a staff which is going to get gutted. I think this was a really nice move. Obviously, we don't know what K.C. Rogers is going to do here, but all we have to really go off of is resume. And this is something that the Woodward socials posted. In 6 seasons with Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers finished 2nd in sacks overall, 1st in yards allowed per carry, and 3rd in touchdowns allowed. That's very impressive. Yeah. Let's look at the 2020 season. And again, I'm just giving you K.C. Rogers' resume because that's what we have to go off of right now, in which they won a Super Bowl. The Buccaneers were 4th in the NFL in sacks, and they were 1st in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. Extremely impressive. He got to coach up guys like Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh, who was a veteran at the time, but still very, very productive. And I mentioned the guys like Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea. And also, one thing that's notable about K.C. Rogers is he was once a defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. It wasn't a phenomenal tenure or anything like that. The Jets only had a good defense in 2015, but it's impressive the way that he was able to build his way up, because before that he was the defensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins. He was so high thought of that he was able to transition from a defensive line coach to a defensive coordinator, and during his time with Miami, they were top 10 in sacks 3 times in 7 years and top 10 in run defense 3 times in 7 years, and he got to coach guys like Cameron Wake, end of career Jason Taylor, Randy Starks. Joey Porter was kind of a linebacker, edge rusher hybrid, but he had his career high in sacks by far with Casey Rogers on the coaching staff, 17.5 in 2008, Jared Odrick, Olivier Vernon. So the point I'm trying to make, I know that's a lot to digest for everybody, is that this guy, Casey Rogers, is a vet. He is infinitely qualified for this position. Hell, he was even more qualified, in my opinion, than what Terrell Williams was. And we saw what Terrell Williams did. And I'm not saying that Casey Rogers is going to come right in and do what Terrell Williams did, but it's good to see them pluck a guy from a coaching staff of a successful team, a team that had a good defense, and put him on the Detroit Lions. Because if I'm Casey Rogers, who doesn't want to coach Aiden Hutchinson? Who doesn't want to coach Aleem McNeil? Who doesn't want to coach DJ Reader? It's a great opportunity, and I think the fact that we got somebody like this with an impeccable resume makes it so that we have to talk about it.
And when you think about where the Detroit Lions are headed in this draft, I'm sure that there's going to be some stud defensive end or somebody to coach up here. And when you talk about going and getting somebody who has at least a better resume stat-wise than Terrell Williams, or at least as comparable, this is a great hire. And you know what this does for me as well? It's something that we've all consistently stated, that the feelings that we had initially with Ben Johnson, a lot of that was conflated with the fact that the Lions had just lost a heartbreaker at their home. A lot of people's expectations dashed despite the injuries. We at least thought we were going to get the 2 playoff wins. And then Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, we know that these guys are going to leave. We start hearing other reports. He goes to the Bears. But when you settle this thing down, this was still always about the belief in Dan Campbell. And him as a elite manager in this league, that's what I think his superpower is the ability to go and put together these staffs that we've seen him do consistently. And when it's time to make a move, he makes a move. People who were worried about what would happen if a Ben Johnson leaves and all this, or an Aaron Glenn leaves, guys, they got here because of Dan Campbell. And when you look at not just the resume of a Casey Rogers, but also the relationships, is when you get to the fact that he and Dan Campbell spent 5 years with the Dolphins, and when Campbell was a player with the Dallas Cowboys, Casey was a coach for the Cowboys from the years 2003 to 2005. So it's just like, you know what? He knows Dan Campbell. This is a testament to that, because when we start to wonder, well, you know what? You just had some pretty good success down here in Tampa Bay, where the weather is quite nice too.
Yeah.
What are these differences? And I do believe stuff like the Detroit Lions defensive line and ability to be all-time great, that comes into play. You got Aiden Hutchinson there. But when you start to peel back the layers, all roads lead back to Dan Campbell, who was even brought in here before the GM. And so I do believe that who Dan Campbell is, not just as a coach, but also as a leader of men, as a manager, and who he's been to other people, these things continue to pay dividends for the Detroit Lions, and they should make people feel comfortable about the long-term outlook for this team.
That was great information you brought about their history together and how they coached together in Miami, and how Casey Rogers was a coach with the Cowboys when Dan Campbell played, because that stuff matters. Like the relationships you build with people, and because coaches, players, they usually go on many stops among their journey as they work their way up, as they go along through their NFL careers. And it's the people you meet, the people that you build relationships with, that you know can coach, that go on like Casey Rogers did and like Dan Campbell did to do great things separate from each other. And that's what, and that's one of the great things about Dan Campbell. You mentioned it. He knows how to build relationships. I think his superpower as a head coach, and I know people.
Well, I'm intrigued.
I know people got on me a little bit for this, because yes, Dan Campbell does know offense, and he did have a part in why this offense was so successful. But I think his superpower as a head coach is to be that CEO, to allow the guys like the Ben Johnsons of the world and the Terrell Williamses and the Aaron Glens and hopefully Casey Rogers moving forward to thrive, to be that leader, to be somebody that you trust on game day to make the right decisions. And of course, as I said before, have his hands in the offense as well, because as we know, Dan Campbell was a tight end and a tight ends coach and once an interim coach before he ever became the Detroit Lions coach. But Dan Campbell, he is a leader. He is a great game manager, and he knows how to eye talent and eye the right people for the jobs. And I think this Casey Rogers, the fact that Casey Rogers was willing to make that move is a testament to Dan Campbell and this organization. Yeah,
definitely. And you know what? Man, can we take this into the next segment? I know we have to take a little bit of break. I see some super chats here. Some people are intrigued by, honestly, the defensive line. And even Stephen Baffey asking about Levi Onwuzurike. And I'm intrigued by what your answers would be as well. So let's get to this next segment. What friends we got to say what up though to first? JB Smooth.
I got to tell them about New Holland Brewing Company.
Hey.
I got to tell them about that Tangerine Space Machine, the new easy drinking IPA that is out of this world. It's smooth, it's juicy, with refreshing crushability. Take your taste buds to the moon and grab yourself a case of this intergalactic haze of goodness. This is the official beer of outer space, but you know what? You don't have to go that far. It's at your local store right now, so go out and grab yourself a case today. Brewed by New Holland Brewing Company, straight out of Holland, Michigan, so you always can support locally.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Hey, Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential. They got 50+ Metro Detroit locations. It's the perfect place to get in shape for the new year or for any reason you might want to. It's just better to be in good physical health and condition than not. And Planet Fitness is the great place to start because they've got cheap memberships, even if you're on a budget, $15 a month, or you can upgrade to the Black Card for only $24.99 per month, in which you get access to all Planet Fitnesses across the world. It's fitness that fits your budget. And there are locations everywhere around Metro Detroit. And it's also Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Essential. Hey, welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for kicking off the show with the WUW Crew. We got to get right back into this Detroit Lions conversation and how this coaching hire impacts a little bit of this defensive line. Obviously, time will tell, but at least be what Terrell Williams was or better. And I look forward to whatever the defensive coordinator, who that pick is going to be, if it's a Larry Foote, and what that role plays as well. Obviously, when you're talking about cohesion within your coaches, if you bring your Larry Foote here from Tampa Bay, you really got some cohesion and chemistry already between he and Casey Rogers in how they work together. But there's a couple people in here, Flannel. They heard our superpowers for Dan Campbell.
Yes.
Chat fam, if you got any more superpowers for Dan Campbell, let us know. Whether they're funny, right answers, wrong answers, all of the above, let us know. But Big CP said Dan Campbell is a true chess master of people. Randall Smalls, his superpower is everyone loves him. Stephen Baffey, Dan Campbell really reminds me of John Madden. He is a unicorn. Guys like him are just rare and special.
John Madden got the Raiders a Super Bowl. John Madden had the Raiders as one of the most successful regular season teams of all time during his stretch. And at the end, hey, There was some postseason heartbreak under John Madden, but hopefully there was some postseason heartbreak that we experienced with Dan Campbell, and we will come out the other side as Super Bowl champions. I like that trajectory.
I like that trajectory. I like that one a lot. But
yeah.
Stephen Baffy also says this, and before we get to Burns' super chat, thank you for the super chat, Burn. He says, but I also, and maybe I'll read these together because both of these are about the D-line.
Yeah.
He says, I also really think that Levi Onwuzurike can easily play the big end role and play it really well. I hope the Lions extend Levi for 2 to 3 years. And then Burn, $5 super chat, just to give more to the conversation. He says, we have a fearsome 4 on our D-line with amazing depth. He came here because this D-line, when healthy, is a golden escalator.
I think definitely if you get Aiden Hutchinson back and you have Zadarius Smith being the bookend and you get Aleem back, hopefully sometime at the beginning of the year, and then Reader's under contract. We don't know about Levi O necessarily, and then you've got certain depth pieces, like you don't know about Muhammad or Wingo or Pat O'Connor, John. I mean, it's potentially a great defensive line, especially if Aiden Hutchinson comes out next season, plays a full year or most of the year, and plays like he did last year. It absolutely could be a fearsome foursome, primarily off the back of him alone.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I see Matthew Kruger in the chat. Nobody knows how this will impact the Lions for another 8 months. Well, we don't know how this is going to impact the Lions for another 8 months. I believe that the only way you can go is up from here. Dan Campbell ultimately is the head of this team, and I do believe that he's the type of guy that's going to at least make sure that they're not taking any steps back. And like we said, man, we kind of were deliberating. The way that this defensive line takes a huge step forward is just a healthy Aiden Hutchinson.
I was going to say.
That's where this all comes down to. Just point blank, period. If he gets off to the start that he had this previous season, in which he was still receiving attention late in the season and even down the end of the season, people were like, yo, Aiden Hutchinson's stats were still really good for a guy who played 5 freaking games.
Yeah.
That's what makes this line go to the next level. They already have that before Casey Rogers even has an opportunity or a chance to have an impact on this team.
And I was going to say, Matthew Kruger, obviously. But are we supposed to like not do any Lion shows for the next 8 months? Obviously, it's a lot of it's speculation, but we're basing it off of what we saw from certain players. Certain players we're going to get back. Just the fact that good football players are good football players, and Casey Rogers is. His resume is impeccable, at least for a prospective defensive line coach. You really can't get much better than that in terms of somebody that you could hire. And if you want names, which a lot of people do, which I don't blame you, by the way, Casey Rogers, and even though it's a defensive line coach, it's not a coordinator, it's still, like I said, about as good as you could have possibly gotten.
Yeah, definitely. And I see Brian with another $5 super chat here. I hope this is the Lions' version of the 80s Pistons losing to the Hawks after breaking in, which turned them from a good offense into the bad boys. And you know what? A little bit of that bad boys identity, a lot of it, they showed up during the season. It's just it was with like second, third, fourth stringers, guys from practice squads. When you get that type of aggressiveness with those first stringers, that defense was on one to start the season. And I look forward to them being healthy. And I see some people in the chat, even like Weezy D through and 3. I love you, Weezy. But sometimes those chats, man, his are interesting. He says, I want a whole revamped D-line. I don't want any of those people back except for Muhammad and Hutch.
Damn.
Look at
What about Aleem? What about Aleem, Weezy?
Bro.
Damn.
What about Aleem? Come on,
Weezy.
come on, Weezy. And I get it. If you think that Aleem won't be back to start next season, he may not. Torn ACLs are a long recovery process. But I don't vibe with that because I think maybe we were watching different football games at some point. I thought Zadarius Smith was good enough and at sometimes actually was the Lions' missing piece, and that he's only going to be better as a bookend, playing a role that he should be playing because he's never really been a dominant edge. He's just always been very, very good. Maybe he was somewhat dominant with the Packers, but still, at this stage of his career, he's a bookend. Aleem McNeil, did you watch him? He was pretty good. DJ Reader, I thought he was impactful. I get why you're high on Al-Qadim Muhammad because he played better than a lot of us expected. He played a role that he probably nobody really envisioned for him playing because he had to, and he was good. But I like more people than Hutch and Al-Qadim Muhammad, but I respect your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Zadarius Smith got here in 4 sacks in. How many games did he play for the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, he was good. He started with the Packer game, I believe.
Yep, and the reason why I bring that up is for this purpose. what is he if he's out there playing alongside Hutch and Aleem and DJ Reader, the space eaters?
Yeah.
Because are you sitting here telling me who was getting the attention? It was Zadarius Smith. Now you're telling me that Aiden Hutchinson is getting that attention, and you probably got a side of the line that has Aleem McNeil and Zadarius Smith on it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that next year is one where Zadarius Smith is going to have an opportunity to show you guys exactly why Brad Holmes brought him here. It wasn't just for now. That's why I'm so glad that they're transparent about what they do to build this team up. They tell us that this thing is about long-term success, and that's how we're going to build the squad. The type of deal that they did to bring in the DN, it was to make sure that they could have some type of cohesion and impact this year and next year without really obliterating the cap sheet. And I think that Brad Holmes did a masterful job with that, especially when you look at what they have coming back. Man, DJ Reader is just a straight-up space eater. Aleem McNeil gets home from the interior. Nobody is stopping Aiden Hutchinson. We already see that. We saw the trajectory is on. So what are you doing with Zadarius Smith? What are you doing off the edges when they decide, hey, you know what, we're going to bring one of these safeties down? Like, or one of those stunts with the linebackers, when you get those horses back, I just feel like Zadarius is going to be one of those guys that can really lunch off of how much is there.
He will, most certainly, but I know we're going to rehash this for a while, especially as long as the WZD 313s in the world continue to dismiss him, which is fine. Like I said, all love and respect. I don't know if you win the Packer game at Ford Field without him. I don't know if you win the Bears game at Ford Field without him. He made plays in those games. I understand that during a stretch, he had a little bit of a sack embargo, but that's because he was all that they had, man. Once Aleem went down, it was just him and, you had Reader and to me, Muhammad, I'm going to use a phrase that WZD 313 says about Zadarius Smith. That guy is a jag, with all due respect. With all due respect, Al-Qadim Muhammad is a jag, but I think before the season, we thought of him as like a practice squad guy. He graduated to a jag. But Zadarius Smith, I just think he's going to be big for them next year if they keep him, which why wouldn't they? He's under contract.
Yeah, I definitely do, man. And that's where I'm also excited about whatever impact Casey Rogers can have. I'm glad that Dan Campbell isn't wasting any time with making sure that, they're getting this staff together. And it's people that have connections with them. It's people that have a record, a resume as well. And people that, honestly, if it's someone connected to Dan Campbell, I feel like that they're going to be the type of coach that has that same type of identity that we heard from the players. We can connect with them. We feel like these coaches are out there on the field with us. We feel, these coaches have had a big impact in our career. So I do believe in that type of kind of intrinsic value when you're talking about a Casey Rogers. And if they do bring in a Larry Foote, no matter what aspect of defense it is, if they bring in Larry Foote, is it for the DC role or are they just interviewing him in general for the defense?
I mean, we'll see.
Wherever they fit him.
I think if he's interviewing for the DC, that's it's probably going to be that or nothing. But we'll see. I mean, this is for probably another show to really break down what Larry Foote could bring. But as of right now, I'm just happy that the Lions made a hire for somebody who had an impeccable resume, a linear lateral movement from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the Detroit Lions, and Casey Rogers. And I know Casey Rogers, he's worked with some great ones over the years. I mentioned their names earlier, and I think he probably has the best of them all waiting for him when he gets to Detroit, and that, of course, is Mr. Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Let's get to the next segment. Let's definitely get to the next segment because I know we got still this kind of SOL mentality that we got to talk about. Cade Cunningham, the All-Star starters were revealed, and there was a lot more discourse about the fact that people thought that he was even snubbed. The way that this stuff goes, I never expected him to get started, but you know what? The voting, it left something interesting out there for conversation. We definitely gonna talk about it. So, hey, JB Smooth, let's say what up to some people, man. Is it? Who's saying what up to, man?
You got to say what up to merch, of course.
Hey.
Over to me, WoodwardSports.com. Click on that shop tab. We're still dropping new designs every single week. I know it hurts to see, but we're still division champions. We got the 2024 NFC champs right there. Belts to ass. Don't forget that. And you know what? No matter what season it is, grit is always in season with the Detroit football grit t-shirts as well, too. New designs every single week. WoodwardSports.com. Click on that shop tab. Get swagged out this whole entire season.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You know, you guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
I think you won.
This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
No one gives away more cash and prizes than Woodward Sports. You don't believe us? Here's our latest $10,000 winner.
You know, you guys posted, hey, if you guess all this stuff right, we'll give it's $10,000. I'm like, okay, well, why the hell not?
And the winning doesn't stop there. How about our Outkick Your Coverage winner?
I think you won.
This guy's got a hot girl.
Bigger prizes, bigger giveaways, cash, merch, tickets, and more. All from the biggest sports network in Detroit. No one does it bigger and better than Woodward Sports. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube for your chances to share in the winning. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
At Lady James, we take the try to get in a haircut. Our talented stylist will deliver an industry-leading haircut, relaxing scalp massage, hot lather, neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. Open 7 days.
I don't know where you putting that towel.
We but ask first, man. Hey, look, walking anytime. Lady James Haircuts from in. It's wicked awesome. Hey, welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off today with the WUW Crew. Hey, chat family, as always, you guys are the most important part of Wake Up Woodward and all of Woodward Sports. Go ahead, smash that like button if you haven't gotten the opportunity to. Hey, we were talking Lions. It's TLB, word to our brother Matthew Broder. And we were just discussing the defensive line. And throughout this process, you know what I've seen more than I really believed I would? I thought a lot of fans are kind of like us. Be hurt by the loss, be emotional about the loss to whatever varying degrees, whether some people thought it was overboard or not. But now I'm seeing a lot of people who believe that this ride might be over to a degree when you talk about the Super Bowl window. And you saw Stick and Anton as well. They got into it. Their chat got into it as well. And it's just an interesting thing here because I did not think that Detroit Lions fans were that fickle. That, hey, you know what? You have this situation happen this season where realistically, as you say, they got decimated. You lose your best defensive player. And that's all it takes for people to jump back off the bandwagon of brand new Lions and back on the same old Lions?
Well, I don't think that's a big subset, but at the same time, I mean, there was a pretty explosive argument on Ermanni and Edwards with Maz that I'm sure you guys all turned into, in which it was basically Anson fighting the chat, fighting Stick, fighting Pete. It was certainly a sight to behold. And as far as the SOL stuff goes, I'll say this. It's certainly not SOL because with SOL, what you've seen from this Lions team in the last 2 years are division titles, which you didn't see from these last 2 years up back to 1991. You saw 2 playoff wins last year. You see draft picks in rounds 2 and above that actually play and star, like a Brian Branch, St. Brown, Laporta, Kirby, Aleem. I mean, those are huge names in and of themselves. And then you look back at some of the other SOL type Lions drafts,
Jelani
you might,
Tavai.
yeah, it's a graveyard full of like the T's, Tabors, and the Brad Kayas of the world. I'll just say that. And also, number 1 seeds, 15 wins. I mean, that certainly disqualifies this from being SOL. One thing though that I'll give the Ansons of the world, because I feel like it's only fair of me to look at the other side as well. One thing that previous Lions teams have done, SOL Lions teams, was go one and done in the playoffs. And I understand these were all wildcard teams. These were not division winning teams, but they went one and done 8 times between 1992 and 2022. They did it 3 times with Stafford, they did it 4 times with Barry, and they did it the year after Barry retired. So I think if you want to look at a disappointing playoff loss as evidence that there's some SOL in the ether, I'm not mad at you, but I disagree, if that makes sense.
Definitely, and I'm seeing people kind of in the chat that are responding as well. There's some people who do believe that the Super Bowl window is closed and that this is SOL. But there's guys like Eric Smalley who I'm wondering how many people fall into his camp. He says next season is going to be rough, to be honest. But I do think we at least get the division again and back to the dance. And that's what I believe too. Like we've experienced some pretty good football the last 2 years in ways that when you look back at it in hindsight, it doesn't really come that easy, even though we know there were some battles and a lot to overcome. In the future, winning the division might not come with a 15-2 record. It might come with a worse record. And I do believe when you look at that schedule next year, it does set up to where it looks like it's going to be a rough schedule. But I also remember how we felt going into this previous season as well, when people believed there were certain teams that we just weren't going to be able to match up with, like the Texans or the Cowboys, or that those games were going to be ones that were kind of toss-ups.
49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers game as well. And in reality, it worked out to where the Lions were just clear-cut better than those teams. And so it's interesting to see this kind of dichotomy between Lions fans, because even the ones that are the most diehard are saying they're looking ahead and they're saying, man, it's tough. I think that's life of a fan. The Super Bowl window, in my opinion, though, it's wide open for this team. If they still have an opportunity to win this division, if they still have an opportunity to earn home playoff games, I believe the Detroit Lions still have opportunity to go out there and win Super Bowl within the next few years.
Yeah, their Super Bowl window isn't dead. And I think what Eric Smalley said is fair, because all seasons are rough. Even this season where the Lions made it look easier than it was, basically maintaining their status as either the best or the second best team in the NFL, the best team in the NFC all year, despite all the injuries. They made it look easy, but it never is. I know that there were some games where they struggled in. I know that there were probably some moments in practice weeks where they themselves had to figure out, like, how the F are we going to do this without Aleem and Carlton Davis and Hutch. But they ended up in the regular season, I'll say, succeeding and able to do that. So I think winning the division and getting back into the playoffs, that is the minimum. That's what they certainly have to do.
And I keep seeing stuff like this. If this rookie makes the Super Bowl, he turns us into SOL, and he put the angry emoji. And I'm seeing people say that too, that, you know what, when you got Jaden Daniels now in the NFC mix, that the Detroit Lions' supposed trajectory to kind of rule or have reign in this NFC has now come to an end. I believe that we can see the Lions have one of those type of 1, 2, 3, 4 year runs, 2, 3, 4 year runs like the 49ers. But I believe that this team, based on the dogs that they have, they're younger. The 49ers stars, when they were going through that run, they were more seasoned. I do believe that our guys are a little bit more young. They're more just entering into like their prime. And they have that opportunity, especially with the right coaches and whatever Brad Holmes does in this offseason, to be right back in the thick of things next season. I do believe that this NFC is still theirs. This talk of SOL, to me, I just believe this is more akin of exposing same old Lions fans, because the same old Lions, it's done, it's buried. They don't do business that way anymore. They're not owned that way anymore. The front office isn't doing it that way anymore. Brad, the GMs aren't assessing that way anymore. They're creating a way that other people in the league are identifying as the way to win. That's not same old Lions. That's brand new Lions. What up, Doc Cavassier?
I was just going to say, like, it's going to be obviously harder for us next year. We've talked about that, but it's also going to be harder for every other team in the NFC, too. I mean, I love Joe Burrow. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, but how many times has he been back to the big dance? You know, he hasn't. Like, he's gotten close, but just because Jaden Daniels is having a good year this year doesn't mean he's necessarily going to come back next year and just be a perennial NFC championship figurehead. You know, we haven't seen Brock Purdy get back there, in his time, like, I think outside of last year, but you know, it's going to be tough for every team, not just the Lions. You know, like you still got to get back into the playoffs too. You know, and I think Washington showed us too. It's not about, it's just about getting your ticket to the dance. That's really what matters. It doesn't matter where you fall in line.
I'm saying, if you're looking at the chat, I'm seeing people, man. In Adam Shally, he said, Kool-Aid, why do you think next season is going to be rough? They have tons of talent. Not rough. I think it's not going to be 15-2 next season, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but
it's not going to be easy. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep, and I see Irv Gotti. He says, Kool-Aid, I am devastated. I never thought a sports team would have this much of an effect on me. I just want them to play like pros all the time, not necessarily winning every single game. I do know that there's a lot of fans that kind of sit in that place too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all devastated to some extent still, while of course the nature of what we do, we have to move on and talk about the future and talk about other teams and maybe use other teams to make us feel better. I know even, and we're not going to talk about them, but just to give an example, even us and JB, we've got two good college basketball teams that we can look forward to as well. I mean, hey, Michigan State's balling. I got to give them credit.
Shout out
Michigan,
Spartans.
Yes, and Michigan unfortunately dropped a bad one to Minnesota, but they're still one loss in conference. But this whole SOL thing, it's dead. It's buried. One thing like I said.
Don't read Matthew Kruger's comment.
What does Matthew Kruger say? I'll read it. All right. Okay. So I'll read it. I'm glad you told me not to, but I will.
Oh, it's his last one. Yeah.
All right. So we finally win a playoff game last year for the first time in 25 years. Go to the NFC Championship, lose, and then lose in the first round of the playoffs this year. If that's not SOL, I don't know. And that's where I had to mention what I did at the beginning, where people who are more in that mentality will have there's some blood in the water, the whole one and done thing. I don't think you're right, but I also can't crucify you for it. I wish that the Lions would have done more in the playoffs so that the SOL thing could be, even amongst the fans, could be dead. I think even getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl, that would even, for the people like Anson, would have him officially declare that SOL is dead. But a one and done, it's tough to stomach. Everybody's processing it differently, and I think we all wanted more and thought that we were going to get more.
That's what it is, that one and done. I do wonder how different it is if they win one game and they lose a good game to Philly at their own home. I wonder what the narrative is, because Weezy is saying this too. That's the thing, Kool-Aid. The people that's getting called SOL fans, we just don't care about a regular season. That he's saying basically, like, look, it's about the playoffs for us, and to go in there and lose one game. I'm like, are we changing? I don't know. I guess since we all stated that the injuries weren't going to be an excuse, they just have no impact. And I get it for the vacuum of last season. But for moving ahead, this team is going to be healthy. Knock on wood. I don't believe that this is going to be a team that runs back that many injuries, man. That was almost like an anomaly. Like,
so wait, nothing matters? Is that what we're trying to get? Is that what we're trying to say? So Kirby Joseph's interceptions all season didn't matter. Aiden Hudson leading the division in sacks didn't matter for a period of time. It's just about playoffs. That's it? Like, I don't understand that. This team has changed. I know SOL is fine if you still want to believe that, because you've been through a lot with this team, a lot of disappointment. But this Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Sheila era right now, it's a change. You're starting to see a silver lining. It just takes a little bit of time. This isn't Madden. Like, you can't just sit here and try and play a perfect game and somehow, if you get an injury, just hit the free agent wire, and you know what? Just pick up someone that, you're playing on free salary cap or some shit like that. No, that's not how this works.
And I think I get what you're saying. It certainly, there's so much that happened in the regular season that you can't just discount it as nothing. But you can also say that best regular season in Lions history choked in the playoffs. Like I said, this is going to be a very, very complicated legacy for this team. And I think Edward Dudley, he says something in the chat that I believe,
saw that, right?
I think is pretty spot on. in 5 to 10 years, if y'all don't win a Super Bowl, nobody is going to be like, y'all won regular season games. It's still going to be like, you didn't get the big one. And that's something that I tried to hammer home even the day or two after, is that the Lions have an opportunity to write their story, because you've seen a lot of teams, like you're seeing the Baltimore Ravens go on right now, like you're seeing with the Buffalo Bills, like you saw with the Minnesota Vikings in the late 60s and 70s, that go on a lot of these runs but never cash one in. Obviously, the Ravens did it back with Flacco, but I'm talking about the Lamar Jackson Ravens. I'm talking about the Josh Allen Bills, who have a chance to rewrite their story this year. I'm talking about the Bills teams in the early 90s who went to 4 Super Bowls but didn't win one. Ultimately, if the Lions continue to have these playoff flameouts, nobody is going to care about the regular season. Everybody is going to say, it'll turn from SOL to the team that can't win the big one. So it's up to them. And if they have a couple of more of these playoff flameouts, then we can have the conversation about this team can't win the big one. But Chuck Brewer also said, and this is also more typical of the Stafford teams, and to some extent the Barry Sanders teams, is that SOL is making the playoffs losing and then having a losing record the following year. You saw what happened to the 2012 Lions that went 4-12. You saw what happened to the 2015 Lions that started the season, I believe, 1-7, and then the 2017 Lions didn't make it either. So all of that, everything is true that was just said. Like I said, this season has a very complicated legacy that will be shaped by what they do for the years to come.
Dog, fancy lion. Let us SOL and be happy in all caps, please. I'm saying there's some same old Lions people here, and I get it. Part of me just feels like you're just heartbroken right now. Like me, I love Ben Johnson. Thank you for everything you did. That's why when all of us had a day to sleep on it after the other show, I'm able to come in here a little bit more clear-minded. Still hurt, but being able to say, you know what, we had great times, Ben Johnson. We had some good times, and that's what we have to do with this Lions season. We have to understand, guys, we went above the expectation. We went even above what some of you guys thought would happen if this team was completely healthy. And they still went 15-2. They gave you everything. And they decided, like Dan Miller said, to play their worst game of the season during their most important game of the year. And that was just a collision that they couldn't afford to do. They still had opportunities to dig it out the mud. And when you look at that game and you look at the fact that the quarterback had the 4 interceptions and had the opportunity as an MVP candidate, a top 5 MVP candidate, to be able to better control that game, that's where I'm like, guys, don't lose any faith in this thing. Don't lose faith in this. They shot themselves in the foot. The coaches talked about it. Jared Goff talked about it. And they still had the game plan that if they would have played cleaner football, we were not sitting here talking about Jaden Daniels won this game by himself. He wouldn't just put this. They had an opportunity. They had an opportunity, man.
Of course. I think if they play clean, they win. I think if they're fully healthy, they win. But unfortunately, they didn't. They weren't.
Yeah.
We have to accept that. We have to ultimately move on from it. But I have one more thing, I think, to like wrap a bow on this whole SOL thing, and it goes back to the Stick, Anson, Pete, the chat, basically Anson versus the world conversation that happened. I'm sure everybody in the chat saw it, and we all know Anson tends to fall back on SOL. And this is where I want to lean on Chase, because you were in the room. You actually were requested to send the picture of old Joe Louis Arena, because of course I watched that back because it was an electric segment. The one thing that I was more in line with like Anson, it was kind of more how the whole debate went. I thought people were treating Anson like he was a Looney Tune, and I didn't think he was a Looney Tune. I just disagree with him, and I still think to this day, and I love this guy, Stick as a fan hasn't taken enough accountability. I think he's kind of excused everything in a way, and I think Pete was basically his Flavor Flav for that segment. Am I off base? I'm open to being wrong.
I think that's a fair analysis
Okay.
of the scenario and the situation.
Fair enough. And me and Stick, we're gonna disagree more than we agree a lot, but I still love him, and we're still brothers. But let's talk about Cade Cunningham.
He's still gonna ride or die for Jared Goff. Just know that.
Yeah.
I'm over here.
We got to talk about Cade Cunningham, man, because that is now, we can, obviously next Thursday when the reserves are revealed, we're going to have ourselves an all-star. If it's going the way that national media as well as local observers are trending, Cade Cunningham is clearly an all-star. but he didn't get announced when the starters were revealed. But the voting results were released, and there's some interesting things there, man, that we got to digest and talk about. Realistically, Detroit's not newest star. The real ones have always known, but we got to talk about Detroit's soon-to-be newest verified star. Shout out to Cade Cunningham and these Detroit Pistons, because the success of this team is why he has an opportunity this year. What up, though, JB Smooth?
Just before we get out of here, I just wanted to read off this super chat from Burns. I don't know if we got to it or not, but $5. What in the heck do Lions fans, especially SOL fans, know about a Super Bowl window? Go look at the paths other teams took and get out of your butt. So shout out to Burns for that one as well too. Yeah, let's get it and move on.
Yeah, I mean, Burn, just to respond to that, there's usually a lot of heartbreak that comes before championships, and hopefully when the Lions get it done, it'll be that much sweeter. But every year that you don't get it done as a team that has an opportunity, you feel like you missed out on something, and that's totally fair.
Yep. And you know what? In addition to K being a star, guys, I'm also going to go over ESPN. They gave out their midseason grades. Your Detroit Pistons got an A. Let's talk about all of it, man. Let's talk about all of it. Attention, sports fans. Don't miss on our expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday on Big D Energy, every Thursday on Ermanni and Edwards, where he's offering you top-notch injury advice. Y'all got to trust the guy that D-Mac trusts, because he's here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon, and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsAndSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
All right, Woodward sports fans, whether you're hitting the game or just chilling, Jars Cannabis has you covered. Jars is home to Michigan's largest line of recreational cannabis products with 27 locations across the state, 9 alone in Metro Detroit, so there's always one nearby you. And don't fear, because if you live in Grand Rapids, Madison Heights, or Milan, Michigan, Jars Cannabis is coming your way soon. Stores coming your way very soon. It's Jars Cannabis. I know you want to get high. You want to get high?
Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward, man. And it's been a show. We've talked Red Wings. We've talked Lions. Now we're talking Pistons. The expectations for all of these teams to make the playoffs, man. And right now the Pistons are doing a really, really good job of not just coming through on the expectation, but you know what, man? They're sitting in seed right now.
Seed.
With an opportunity to climb up a little bit higher. But the news of the day, before we get into the Detroit Pistons midseason grade, the news of the day right now is the NBA All-Star starters and the implications this year. Hey, Detroit is implicated. Why? Because Cade Cunningham he's probably going to be one of those guys. I don't know if you guys saw the graphic last night as well from the TNT NBA on TNT inside the NBA.
Oh, you mean this one?
Hey, I knew you was gonna have it ready. Look at that. Who's up top, man?
Yeah.
Unanimous. Everybody believes that he should be an all-star. But the starters were announced last night. JB Smooth, do you have the starters there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's bring those up so at least people can see who the starters were for the East and who the starters were for the West. And for the East, starting lineup: Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell. Somebody called that on the show yesterday. Flannel Sam.
Unfortunately.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, and Karl Anthony Towns for the starters.
Yeah.
And then for the West starters, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Stephen Curry. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic. I'm sorry, JB.
Can we keep it real? LeBron and Steph shouldn't be starting in the West.
Yeah.
And I'm a LeBron
it's been a
slappy.
rough
And obviously,
start.
and I know you're a Steph slappy. They shouldn't be starting in the West. But they're also two of the best to ever do it. And a lot of times it's more about name recognition.
Yeah,
They shouldn't be starting in the West.
But there was this one narrative that got out there that, you know what, fans here should do a better job to make sure that Cade Cunningham can be starting in the future. And actually, when you look at the voting here, you see that Cade Cunningham got almost 900,000 votes. He was about less than 140,000 votes away from 1 million. That's actually pretty impressive, especially when you see some of the company that he was around, and also has his player ranking here in terms of players. He was fifth as it relates to this voting stuff here. It looks like for the guards and such. And that's the thing. Coming behind Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, then there's LaMelo Ball, who was third, Trae Young fourth, Cade Cunningham fell into that fifth spot as it relates to the total player votes. That's an interesting thing there. Obviously, Dame Lillard finished with more fan votes than Cade Cunningham, but the total player votes put Cade Cunningham fifth. But when you look at the 860,000, I'm actually going to say this. I'm proud of Detroit for showing up. That's a lot of votes.
Yeah.
That means that all of Detroit who would be active in this thing showed up. This, to me, is more or less the rest of the NBA watching eyes. They are playing catch-up right now. And I do believe that this will correct itself sooner rather than later.
I'll say this, too. And he's a damn good player. I'm not taking away from his deservingness to be on the All-Star team. LaMelo Ball getting over 2 million votes, leading the East and
That's what I'm talking
do you
about.
really know ball, people? And again,
Almost 2.5 million fan votes.
LaMelo Ball is very, very good. He's having a heck of a season, but you're not going to win jack shit with LaMelo Ball as your best player. He's too inefficient. He's not enough steak for the amount of sizzle, if that makes sense. I'm not going to say no steak, but they're not doing anything as a team with Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. I'm just saying, they blow, and their announcer is awful. Get that man off the air. How about you yell again for a 10-foot midi to put to cut your team's deficit to 12 again, dumbass?
And that's my
Fuck
thing.
that guy. I get really angry about that stupid Charlotte Hornets announcer. Anywho, we can move on.
I was going to say, do you think there's 2.5 million people? Do you think that there are 1 million people in Charlotte who voted for LaMelo Ball?
There's no way in hell.
No.
I used
Ain't no
to
way.
live there, man. Shout out Queen Kool-Aid and her family. Like, there's not, man. I used to go to the stadiums and be one of the few people in there. Like, go Pistons. Like,
There's not even 1 million people who live in Charlotte.
No, not even close.
that's what I'm saying. So when I see the 860,000, when I first saw it, I was like, what? Oh, snap. Cade is up that high in the votes.
Yeah.
I know that the first initial was that, man, maybe we didn't do enough. But I do believe that, shout out to the Pistons. I'm seeing even our chat family. They're like, bro, I voted like 10 to 11 times. It just, Darrell Slaughter, I voted 10 to 11 times. So some of those days, it was 3 times the vote. That's what I mean. Like, I saw all across social media, fans here saying that they were voting. This is one where now, this is to the NBA media. If Cade goes to this All-Star game and shows out, and I know it's just an exhibition, and he continues to show out in the second half of this season, this is going to be a situation where they can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
The NBA world is waking up to who he is as a player.
You can certainly argue that Cade Cunningham has had the best season of any guard in the East in terms of what he's had to work with and how he's led his team to these type of heights. Trust me, I get it why Donovan Mitchell was the starter. He's having a heck of a year, taking a step back in terms of his individual numbers to play within the concept of a team, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are in the middle of what could end up being a historic regular season. I get it. I get Jalen Brunson leads the Knicks in points and assists, is incredibly efficient for a smaller player, and they're third in the East. But the other knock against Jalen Brunson, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be a starter, is that look at who else is a starter. His teammate, Karl Anthony Towns, who himself is having the best season of his career. I know you hate Cat.
I agree.
But I'll tell you what, I've always defended Cat to some degree, and he's balling out. You can say that he's going to let them down in the playoffs, but he's balling out this year. You can't deny it.
Dante151 said he tried to vote, but the NBA website screwed him. I did hear that from some Pistons fans.
Really?
Well, yeah, some people posted that type of stuff. And I'm wondering, hey, Dante, let me know what your experience was, man, because let me hear it. All day, Noop said, LOL. I thought I was the only one. Charlotte Hornets announcer is annoying AF.
Thank you.
He sounds like a dad watching his kids play. I am from the D, but live in North Carolina, so I see all the games. Hey, I used to be like that, Noop. That's where I first met Vince Ellis years ago. He used to be with the Free Press, and now he's one of the communications leaders for Platinum Equity, actually. It was on the road, man. He was coming down there. I would go to all the games. For the Pistons ones, I would try and sit a little bit closer. There'd be like nobody in there for some of them games, dog. And it was, that announcer. I'm kind of with you, Flannel. I wasn't as inspired as you, but I trust me. I feel the same sentiments.
Yeah, and I see Denver Blair. Duran is trash. Ivy is trash. Beasley is showing up, about to score the Sixth Man of the Year. He's not, by the way, but he's
going to be in a conversation.
He's been very good. You guys are crazy with the asterisk of what he has, and I'm just saying that Jalen. If we're talking about the starters in the East in terms of guards, does Donovan Mitchell have more than Cade Cunningham? No shit, Sherlock. Does Jalen Brunson have more than Cade Cunningham?
Mm-hmm.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Can you imagine Cade with Cat?
Cade with Cat and, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and whatnot. And, of course, Donovan Mitchell with Darius Garland and Evan Mobley and whatnot. I mean, those two should be all-stars as well. It's just that, nobody is saying. And I even said it yesterday.
Mobley.
Oh, my God. Evan Mobley's better than Jalen Green, by the way, from that draft class.
Oh, yes.
Evan Mobley's absolutely better.
We have no arguments on that draft class.
I think you could argue Evan Mobley's better than Franz, and I love Franz. You could argue it.
I love Franz too, but Evan Mobley, he's somebody that has continued to. I've just continued to be like, man. I really like what he brings defensively and offensively.
I'm not saying that Cade has no help. I mean, Ivy was having the best season of his career when he was here. Beasley's having the best season of his career. You look at somebody like Duran, who's been better lately, but for a lot of the season wasn't so great. I'm just saying that when you look at him versus the other guards in the East, even a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who has not had the season that Cade does, I look at somebody like Pascal Siakam as his second star. I look at somebody like Benedict Mathurin, who, respect to him, has really started balling out. Miles Turner, who murdered the Pistons on the first night.
End of it. He just murders the Pistons.
He does murder the Pistons.
For years.
Yeah, so Cade doesn't have no help, but he has less than the people he's competing with in terms of all-star East guards.
I am so glad you broke that down, because that's the thing. It's no shade or disrespect at our players. Our players just finally got a coach.
Yeah.
Our young guys just finally, I love Dwayne Casey, but they knew he wasn't going to be the coach. So you take whatever development you can get. But think about it. His last year, they knew, hey, he's moving to the front office. We're getting somebody new. And then you get Monty Williams.
Yeah.
And then you get JV Bickerstaff. But how much time is that going to take to get things going? I continue to tip the cap to JB Bickerstaff and for these players for being able to execute the game plan because they look different. Look how quickly now Duran is looking formidable in the paint. Look at Isaiah Stewart, his rim protection percentage, the blocks that he's getting at the rim. He's one of the tops in the NBA.
He's got one of the best rim protection percentages in the NBA.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's just get into it because the Detroit Pistons grade. Should we do this or do we need to say hi to some friends first?
I'm looking at the time.
Yeah,
I think we're okay right now. We do want to holler out this super chat from Dante151
let's do the
real
super
quick.
chat, and then we'll get the people the Pistons midseason grade.
Yeah, shout out to Dante151, $4.99 super chat. He said the reason why Curry is in is because the All-Star game is in San Francisco this year, and to not have Wemby and Cade starting is just so stupid.
Yeah, and for the record, I know that I'm a noted Curry hater, but respecter of his greatness. That wasn't hate because I'm also a known LeBron slappy, and LeBron should have been a starter in the All-Star game for the West as well. But that is a good point. It's in his home. It's in a. I mean, Steph Curry is an absolute icon of the NBA and certainly an icon of the Bay Area. So from that extent, I understand it. I just don't.
We know
like,
what's on the way too.
Yeah, we know what's on the way.
I will just say that, man. But ESPN, that was well stated about you, man. Detroit Pistons grade, they have an A. One of few teams that have an A at the midseason. Preseason projected wins total, 25.5. Right now, the midseason projected wins, 40.8.
Let's go.
Why this grade? The Pistons surpassed last season's win total by January 1st and aren't content with that. Detroit is in the top 6 in the East, which could guarantee the Pistons' first playoff appearance since 2019. Cade Cunningham's, and that was under Casey. The previous one before that was underneath Stan Van Gundy. Cade Cunningham's development, aided by a better shooting around him, makes this seem more sustainable than any other Detroit success in decades. That's wild.
Yeah, it's true, though.
So how can they improve? Jalen Duren stepping into a larger offensive role would be a positive. Only Cunningham and guard Jaden Ivey, who's still sidelined by a fibular fracture, are younger than age 28 among the team's top 5 scorers. So they put a lot of onus on Jalen Duren taking that step forward, which is something that we see him doing, which has coincided with the Pistons winning. But you're right, man. We haven't seen this type of promise in over a decade. Even though they made the playoffs a couple times over those years, we haven't seen this type of promise in decades, Flannel.
We all knew that it was something that wasn't sustainable during like the Blake Griffin years or during the remember Stanley Johnson, I'm in LeBron's head years. Stupid. But
we took the bait.
Yeah, we
I did at least.
But
Sheesh.
This is a team that's on the rise. This is a team that has a young up and coming is disrespectful. A young guard who is here, who you could argue is a starter in the East. Jaden Ivey looked really good when he's healthy. Hopefully, he can respond. He can come back from that. You see what this team is capable of when you add the right veterans around as well, and you have the right coach. As far as Jalen Duren stepping into a larger offensive role, I mean, I think it's on him to develop a little bit more. And he's still young. He's still he finishes at the rim pretty well in terms of the lobs, in terms of just getting easy opportunities. But in order, I think, to have the offensive role that ESPN is maybe surmising for him, he's got to develop more of a jump shot, and maybe someday a 3. That's a big ask, but we'll see.
Man, yeah, and that's the thing. When you go back to Jalen Duren and when he was drafted, what the organization was expecting or saying about him, we all heard the Sean Kemp type comparisons, the versatility, and you know what, he has that. When I see him in the practices, which I can't wait till they're back home so I can be back in there like that. Sometimes feels like sanctuary, bro. Just to be in the gym and seeing sometimes even the Cruise players, and it's just basketball development. And you see Jalen Duren over there working on some things. And this year, what I've noticed differently between his practices this season than the previous couple of years I've been able to go, is the level of aggression in which he's attacking the basket. Yeah, you see some dunks, but now I see him like kind of pissy and mad. It seems like whatever the staff is now underneath JB, they're not just going through the motions. They're not just going through the drills. They're not just going through the reps. They're actually pushing them now, because how you practice is how you play. And when I see Jalen Duren go out there in the games, and he's now one of your top 5 or top 6 players in the league with dunks. This is what I wanted to see. Dunk everything. This is what I want to see. Go out there and challenge everything at the rim. If you're going to get the fouls, don't get the fouls reaching in. Get the fouls utilizing your strengths to your ability, to your best ability. You can jump. You know how to defend. You got the longer reach. You can defend the rim. And that's what I love about Isaiah Stewart setting the example there. And we've seen Jalen Duren as JB Bickerstaff and co., and he has put in the work, continue to improve. And I do believe we're going to see a different Jalen Duren after the All-Star break. He's going to get that little time off. It's guys like Jalen Duren and Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley who I believe are going to benefit the most from this All-Star break.
And you're already seeing an improved Jalen Duren. the Houston game to me was the best I've seen him look all season. But
against the Sangoon too.
Outplayed Sangoon. And Sangoon's a better player as of now, and I think always will be as an overall player. But still, going in there and outplaying him was one of the biggest reasons you won that game. I'm talking about the Pistons. But speaking of elite things, let's do a quick Would You Rather when we come back, because those segments are just so fun. I don't want to miss out. But what do we got?
Sabbath.
You know what? Fuel your Detroit sports fandom, especially Detroit's latest star, man, Cade Cunningham. Can't wait till it is officially announced. I can't wait, Flannel. We're going to go crazy on that show. But, hey, listen, fuel all that fandom for Detroit, for the great state of pure Michigan, our fandom for Detroit sports with Perfect Cup. Become a subscriber of Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Whether you're getting up for the big game, saving a quiet morning, or kicking things off with the WUW Crew on Woodward Sports, Sabbath Coffee Roasters has you covered with fresh, locally roasted, specialty coffee delivered right to your door. Head to www.sabbathcoffeeroasters.com, choose your favorite roast, and make sure to use code Woodward to get 25% off your first subscription order. Awake and unwind, support local, and enjoy game day right with Sabbath Coffee Roasters.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network. A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit sports.
Dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White & Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White & Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
Come true, and welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off today with the WUW Crew. It's your boy Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Flannel Sam Reynolds, ball knower, Red Wings correspondent, just all sports knower in general. C-Note 313, brother. Brother. Oh, listen.
What's happening?
We will overcome, man. I'm telling you, he says he wants to root for the Pistons, but it's PTSD from the Lions losing to a rookie crushed his team spirit.
Well, as I said when we were off air, Jaden Daniels is not just any old rookie. He is the best rookie quarterback of all time, and I already have him. And I know this was a little controversial when I said it. I already have him as the best quarterback in the NFC. So my point is that there's an argument for that, and there's an argument that he's the best rookie ever, and I think he would win one of those arguments at least. So
definitely,
he's just good, man. He's special.
He does say this: he'll heal if the Pistons make the playoffs. They shouldn't have a problem doing that.
They should not. Just hold on to that 6th seed.
Let's go, bro. Would you rather? Let's rock.
Would you rather usually is KG doing this, but he sent over the questions to me last night, so I got you guys prepared for this right now. So the first question of would you rather, and I got this sweet little graphic for you as well too. Would you rather re-sign Carlton Davis or Ife Melifonwu?
For me, Carlton Davis. The impact that he had on the field, it was we missed it greatly. We missed it greatly in the playoffs, man. Give me Carlton Davis.
This is the only question about this is money, because on the field it's obviously Carlton Davis. It's just, what is he going to ask for? Can the Lions afford him? But that being said, I would still say Carlton Davis, because he was the best cover corner that they had all year. You saw how much, even in games like the 49ers game or in both Bears games, certainly the playoff game, how much you missed Carlton Davis. And to be honest, no, I'm not as high on Terrion as some. So I think you need a Carlton Davis as your CB1, certainly over an Iffy Melifonwu.
Chase, what do you think?
I don't want him signed for more than 2 years, but I want Carlton Davis coming back.
Yeah, and I see the chat. Xavier D. Davis, ADIS411 Davis, John F. and Lord Davis, Donkey Kong. We are champs. WUW Lions fans. All right.
I mean,
Terrell
just
Lamar.
gotta know.
Iffy. So we got one for Iffy.
It's all about the money.
But everybody
Yeah.
Davis by a slim amount. Dante 151.
Yeah, it's all about the money for me as well too. I wish we could keep them both, but I think the bigger impact would be Carlton Davis for me. So that's one question for
I
would
do
you
like
rather?
Iffy though. I don't, no shade or
Yeah,
disrespect.
it's
Iffy
no
Melifonwu.
shade towards Iffy
If you
at
had
all.
to pick one, but I do like Iffy, man.
Because this is a tough question that the Lions are going to have to face this offseason as well too. Next up, would you rather re-sign Tim Patrick or Kevin Zeitler?
I can go first.
You go first.
Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler was one of the best guards in the NFL when he was, he was on the field for all the regular season. Unfortunately, he missed the divisional round game, but he's still incredibly durable. He arguably had as good of a season as he's ever had as an NFL player. And Tim Patrick, I think, and this isn't being disrespectful to Tim Patrick, he was very good. I think Tim Patrick's grow on trees to some extent. So give me Kevin Zeitler, because I think he's a more impactful player, and I don't think he's going to be that expensive.
I vibe with that. I do hope that Zeitler is the offensive lineman we can trust on health-wise next year. Like, I know he played a pretty clean, really clean regular season. But part of me is like, man, I kind of want to get younger with this offensive line.
He's old. I mean, football-wise, he's going to be 35. I get it.
That's just where my mind is. I love the way Christian Mahogany looked. I'm like, you got any more of those? And that's where my mind is like, if you can sign Patrick for cheap and you can find something young offensive lineman stud, I kind of like that, right?
I've got a solution. Put Mahogany and Zeitler on the field at the same time and wave bye-bye to Graham Glasgow. He blows now. I hate to say it.
You know
and
what?
he's also old.
All right, you know what? Bring back Zeitler. Thank you, Flannel.
No disrespect. He was excellent last year, but he is a little buyer's remorse on old Graham Glasgow. I'll just say that.
Chase, what do you think, man?
I think you got to go with Zeitler. He plays almost every snap on the offensive line, and Tim Patrick, he's on the field occasionally in situationals. In situational spots. We got J-Mo, we got Amon-Ra, we got Gibbs, we got Laporta. So I think, Tim Patrick's much more replaceable than, finding a new starter on the O-line.
I think we're unanimous across the board. Give me Kevin Zeitler as well, too. Tim Patrick, no disrespect, but Flannel, as you said, there's kind of a Tim Patrick out there somewhere else, too. So,
but before we move on, Mike G brings up a good point to counter mine. Flannel Glasgow can play center. That's fair. He's got the positional versatility. My point is that he wasn't good last year as a guard, and if you want to keep him on the team, maybe he can be that rotational piece, because I think moving forward, Christian Mahogany is going to be better, but that's just me.
And the chat is largely in favor of Zeitler. I see ADIS411. He says Patrick, but official man Mike Morgan. Let's see, Fab 5, everybody. Weezy D313, Zelt Easy, Draft Wide Receiver 3. Stop putting a Band-Aid on it. That's what I'm hoping, like with this offensive line, that they don't get to a point where they're putting a Band-Aid on things.
Yep.
That's right.
I got you. Next up for Would You Rather, shout out to KG once again for this one. He said, would you rather Brad Holmes continue his philosophy on player acquisition or get aggressive to acquire an impact player?
Damn.
Goodness. I feel like Stick's philosophy of Aiden Hutchinson kind of being the splash is going to be wind up being one of those things. See what you got first. And so right now, I kind of want him to continue his current philosophy until we know what we have on that field with Aiden Hutchinson and this defensive line and so coming back.
I was going to say, I'm bullish that I think the fully healthy Lions team would win the Super Bowl. I can't say that and then ask him to change his whole philosophy. I mean, you saw some of the, unfortunately, you saw some of the players that he signed, like a Carlton Davis, like a Kevin Zeitler, be excellent in the regular season and unfortunately go down in the playoffs. You saw him pay Ali McNeil, who was excellent in the regular season, but had him not be there for the playoffs. I mean, Carlton Davis, he went down even in the last bit of the regular season. Aiden Hutchinson as well. I hope that they're more healthy next year, that the injury bug doesn't hit somebody as impactful as an Aiden Hutchinson. So I'm cool with Brad Holmes continuing his philosophy, but at the same time, if the right impact player is there, who's to say that that's a little bit more expensive? Who's to say that Brad Holmes won't make that move? But my final answer is continuing his philosophy.
Yeah.
Chase, what do you think?
I would rather just continue with stay the course. I think we gave up some capital last year, and I don't want to double down and empty the cupboard even more. I think we've been building for the future, not just the now. So just that conservative, balanced approach, and I think health is going to be the biggest thing we can look forward to coming into next year.
Yeah, and I'm seeing here in the chat, ADIS41 impact player. Patrick Alfiara, shout out to you. He's a member hybrid, aggressively conservative, he said. Morgan, philosophy. Edward Dudley, you know what? I kind of feel this one. Max Crosby only. That might be one that changes the philosophy just a little bit, but
that's a tough question because I felt like I was talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I don't think it's. What am I supposed to do if the Lions actually do something aggressive like a the very hypothetical, like a Max Crosby? Even though my answer was continue his philosophy, I'll be thrilled.
But the thing that we do know is this. Max Crosby is part of his philosophy. The rumors came out, the news came out that he did knock on the door of Max Crosby effectively, and the Raiders was just like, it's not happening. It's not happening at all. So, and you know what? Thomas Woodford too. Get aggressive, Crosby or Myles Garrett.
Be the best defensive edge pairing you've ever seen. But you also wonder why doesn't every team do it? Because it's really hard to work those kind of things out.
And we see how this season went this year. Like, knock on wood, I never want to see a season like this. I know injuries are going to be a part of it, but this is where I believe you just kind of build that line based on your philosophies, trust that and go. And so far has led to 2 pretty good regular season runs, 1 pretty good playoff run, and a #1 seed to this point.
Yep, it's worked to this point.
I have to agree with you guys as well too. Holmes, continue on with your philosophy. Don't rock the boat just yet unless you see you come out of a draft and just everything was a terrible bust. Then you can start switching up your strategies from there on. But our final question for Would You Rather, once again, shout out to KG for this one as well too. Kool-Aid, this one's leaning on your heartstrings just a little bit. Would you rather the Pistons face the Knicks in a playoff series or the Pacers in a playoff series? And this is just first out the gate, I'm assuming.
Goodness gracious. I've been so hyped up on what a Knicks-Pistons playoff series could mean. I kind of want that. Even though I despise the Pacers with all my heart, for what this could mean. You're talking about the Pistons right now who need a national coverage. Every time Cade goes to Madison Square Garden and starts dancing, it just takes over social media. It takes over everything. I kind of want that for what it can mean story-wise, narrative-wise. And the Pistons have already won in their house 2 times. And as Chase reminds us, I just think Cat is just a little soft, and we see Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart trending towards tough, more tough.
See, that's where I get off the highway. That, big bad Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart are going to render Cat useless. People disrespect that man so much, and I get it.
They're going to render him useless.
Okay.
I just think they're going to have some success.
Okay, go ahead, Chase.
Cat renders Cat useless by spending his time 35 feet away from the basket when he's 7 feet tall.
But he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the game.
I don't know. I think he went 1 for 8 a few times in Minnesota last year. They cost him some serious games. I do not want Cat on my team in the playoffs.
Can we also agree, though, that look at the Timberwolves this year. Cat was important to that team. They are struggling to make the play-in after last year winning 56 games and going to the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, I think any team with Rudy Gobert is going to have issues in the locker room too. I think Minnesota is just any Minnesota team has never ran well. So
see, I think. Oh boy, I'm about to get myself in hot water. Anthony Edwards is overrated. I think Anthony Edwards is basically porn fodder for the old heads who see him as like, this guy's got the right mentality, this guy's got the right stuff, and in reality, he's very good. He is a very damn good player. But does he have a higher trajectory than Cade Cunningham? I'd argue no. And you can clip this someday. I may look foolish someday, but I think Cade Cunningham has a higher trajectory than Anthony Edwards. And you're seeing Anthony Edwards with not as good of a team. And I get it, it's the West, have the Minnesota Timberwolves struggling, and basically they're in play-in position right now after looking like last year that they were championship contenders. That's all I'm saying.
I do agree that Cade Cunningham, in my opinion, has a higher ceiling. But I do believe that Ant-Man is still that dude.
He's very good.
I like his attitude for sure.
Yeah, I like his attitude. I believe that in this era of NBA, it just takes more to win. And that's something that we've heard from other people who've played in both eras. They just said in this era where you got really a lot of talent kind of pooling in certain teams, you have to have that type of talent. As soon as you see these guys who think they're the man, and Ant made kind of his fame with good teams where he could just blend in as a rookie. He had guys that could bring that alpha and that dog mentality, and defense was up there. Now that it's all on him, now he's going through for the first time in his career somewhat of what Cade Cunningham went through when he got here. There wasn't much that was around him, you know. And for Cade, I think he's going to be much better for it. He's been kind of forged in that already, and he stated, "This is how I want to get it." Like, nothing is ever easy in life. It's like hearing Cade Cunningham at the end of seasons and doing the media interviews, the media day interviews to start the season, is where I'm just like, you know what, man, he got the right mentality. He really does.
Yeah, no, Cade most certainly. And for the record, I know a lot of people think I was disrespecting Ant-Man. I think he's outside the top 10 in current NBA players right now. And I think some people talk about him like he's higher than that. I think I'd probably put him like 11 to 15. And that's it. Ant-Man's great. He's going to be an all-star for many years to come. He's going to be a Hall of Famer someday, but I still think that he's a little bit overrated.
But Chase, did you give your answer?
I want to play the Knicks so bad. Yeah, I want the Knicks. We're going to the Garden.
I would go the Knicks as well because I don't think the Pistons are a legitimate threat to win the championship. And honestly, I just want to see how they measure up. And I'm one of those sentimental MFers. These sentimental MFers that just love watching playoff games at Madison Square Garden. It's the Mecca for a reason. It pops on TV.
I get annoyed by it. The real Mecca was in Milwaukee, and then they kind of just stole the name. Like, if you look up like the history of the arenas and stuff like that.
Well, basketball-wise, though, Mecca, man, that New York they do have a claim.
The real Mecca is in Saudi Arabia.
No, oh my God!
James GPT has arrived. He has entered the chat.
And of course, WeezyD313 takes what I said a little bit too far. He says Anthony Edwards equals Jason Richardson. Come on, wow. No. And I do not endorse that. I do not endorse that. And Edwards is
you guys heard it here first. He believes that Anthony Edwards is future Raja Bell.
Wow.
Oh, see, what? I'm seeing people in the chat now. This is hilarious.
No, Anthony Edwards is he's Dominique Wilkins. That's what he is.
Yeah, but your thinking on it, your that kind of was part of my thinking as well. Are the Pistons in a position right now to win a championship? They've had a little bit better success against the Knicks, and you get to play in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
All eyes are going to be on you. And if Cade Cunningham is that guy, can you imagine if they upset the Knicks?
Well, and the reason I preface it by saying I don't think the Pistons can win a championship is because I do think they'd have a better shot against Indiana. I do. Because with the Knicks, I understand that the Pistons have gotten the better of them a couple of times, but the playoffs are different. You've seen what Jalen Brunson has already been capable of at times in the playoffs. You've seen like a Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, those types. Karl Anthony Towns' playoff history is a little bit shoddy. I will give you that. I'll give Chase that. But I still don't know how our bigs match up against him individually with his ability to shoot the three.
Dude, Cade Cunningham's going to be guarding him on the perimeter, dude. Cat's not going to be in the block.
That's fair. That's fair. But
I think that's a game where it's going to be Osar Thompson on Cat.
Ooh.
I do. And they're going to leave Duran and Isaiah Stewart. And I say that because look at some of the games. Look at the last game with Cat was. I was like, JB Bickerstaff, you dirty. Oh, man. JB Bickerstaff's little wrinkles. He's showing different things than what I've seen earlier in the career. People are saying he's making better in-game decisions. He's making better defensive adjustments. The first game that they played against Cat wasn't pretty. The second game they played against Cat was better.
That was better. That was a bit better. I got to ask Chase this before we move on. So when they do have that matchup, the Knicks against the Pistons, is Cat going to average 8 a game on 2 of 17 from the floor or 6 a game on 1 of 12 from the floor? Which one?
30.
Maybe like 5 rebounds, 2, maybe some turnovers. Which one, Chase? Which one?
Either or. I mean, you never know.
What I'm hoping
Never
for
know
in
what
that
you're getting
Knicks
at.
series, though, is this. The Pacers, they are less dependent on one guy. Even if sometimes Tyrese Halliburton just floats through the game, and then if you're a Pistons fan, you know that fourth quarter he's going to be dancing all over the court. Gosh, and I hate it. But when I look at the Knicks, if Cat is like off, I can see Jalen Brunson just like, I'm not throwing you the ball no more. Because not
So
because he's a
disrespectful, man.
Not
I'm
because
throwing you the ball no
No, I'm talking about the type of player that we know Jalen Brunson to be. He'll go and drop 40 on you.
I know.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like if Cat is not on, if Cat is only at the around the line, we've seen Jalen Brunson turn into that type of player already, and that's where I'm thinking the Pistons team style of basketball could be something that I do believe could discombobulate the Knicks just a little bit.
No, and that's fair. That's fair. Do you
Pascal
wanna,
Siakam,
just saying,
I feel like
I mean,
he's just gonna crush us at the fourth spot.
Adding to what you're saying too, like Cat kind of gets pouty when he doesn't get the ball. Like he's called Cat for a reason. He's got no dog in him, bro. Like.
I'm sorry,
no,
man.
no.
Trying to edge him off, but
No. For the record, Cat, he hasn't won anything. I think he was better in the playoffs last year than he's given credit for, but I'm not saying he was great. I'm not saying that he's one of the best players in the game. All I'm saying is that I think he's got a little disrespected over the years, and I think you have to at least acknowledge that he has been really good for the Knicks, and the Timberwolves are missing him. I know you can blame it all on Gobert, but they're missing Karl Anthony Towns.
Cat is a player I despise the most that I probably won on the team too.
Maybe I'm like
him and K would be just ignorant.
I think that it's thank you.
Yeah, it would. I'm not gonna lie.
I think a lot of my Karl Anthony Towns defense is from the fact that I'm the only one who doesn't think that he's a bum here. But before
he's a good bum, but he's still a bum.
I will say, I thought he should have been the number one pick in his
reason.
draft. I did think he should have been the number one pick.
And people were talking about Jahlil Okafor at the time, and Jahlil Okafor is a real scrub.
Xavier D said,
what'd he say?
He said, "Did you say Ant-Man was Rodney Stuckey?"
No, but speaking of Ant-Man and Shad, dude, we might actually turn things around with what you said here, because this is my sentiment exactly. But seriously, Ant was crowned the face of the NBA way too early, and don't you forget that those conversations
Cade was in the league.
Those conversations were being had. And I understand it was very impressive what they did to Denver last year, but those conversations were being had that Anthony Edwards is the face of the league. It can't be a foreign player. It's got to be one of those, American-born dog, got the Mamba mentality type players. He's a walking highlight reel, but I've also seen highlight reels last 3 minutes on YouTube. And for the record, he's more than just a highlight reel. He's a good player, but I just think he's more of like a second or third team All-NBA type guy instead of first. That's all.
And Jay, voice of reason. Both, which team do you want to play? And Cat. We got to get your opinion on Cat.
If I'm the Pistons, give me the Knicks. Cade, look, have yourself a series when you go to MSG once again and just destroy the Knicks right there. As far as Cat goes, I'm sorry, my man is soft. He's not doing himself any favors. I want to like him, but I really just do not like this guy. I'm sorry, Flannel.
This took on a life of its own. I was talking about how we should.
I know it is just growing, dog. I'm looking at it right now.
Ant is baby Kobe.
This thing is really grown, man.
Yeah.
Let's at least say what up, though, to some friends. Let's say what up to some friends real quick. JB, who we got to say hi to?
We got Soroki's and the Winter Blast.
Oh,
Hey,
shout out to the Winter
Soroki's
Blast.
at first because they've got the best crispy chicken and pizza, and they have a limited time offer continuing throughout the football season. Soroki's is debuting their fresh signature flavored wings this football season. Grab your friends, order New York style pizza, and add fresh wings for the games this weekend. Try one of their 7 different flavors. Visit their website at sorokis.com.
And Woodward Sports likes to welcome the Winter Blast presented by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resorts starting Friday, January 31st and goes through February 2nd in downtown Royal Oak. Ermanni Edwards with Mass will be down there from 2 to 4 next Friday, so come and join us. Don't miss out on all the cool events. We got ice skating, ice sculptures, live music. There's heated tents, so don't worry. Marshmallow roasting, food trucks, thrills, and you can't forget about the zip line as well too. But the best part about all this, it is absolutely free to get in. For more information, head over to winterblast.com to find out more. We'll see you down there next week.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app online or in club and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi experts, Woodward Sports.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations of a Feldman dealership in your backyard, visit feldmanauto.com to find the location nearest you. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
And football's biggest game is right around the corner. Make sure you're ready to get the most out of your favorite sports with the best sports book made in Michigan from Michigan. That is Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Fund your online account with cash. No need to link a credit card or bank account, and get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 and free 50 spins at that casino as well too. Visit eagle.com. Visit playeagle.com and download the Eagle Casino and Sports app today, or look online at Eagle Casino and Sports for Androids and Apple users as well.
Fire up.
Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back to this Wake Up Woodward. You know what, JB Spoof? Before we spark up word to jars, let's get that like poll in there, man. Let's see who hit the like button, man. Let's see how many people in the chat, you know what I'm saying, are for the new Detroit Lions hires, and how many Ben Johnsons do we have, man? Hit that like button. JB's gonna test it today. Let's run it up, and after that, brother, let's spark up word to jars. And it's, bro, you see the people in the chat. I didn't know we had some NBA heads in here.
We do. There was it certainly got passionate, but I love it. I love that that segment was allowed to be hijacked primarily by me. Primarily by me. I will take the blame for that one. I love NBA
Maybe
talk.
we incepted you.
Yeah.
Maybe we like NBA talk. Let's rock, JB Spoof.
Let's do it.
And now it's time for the most electrifying segment on the internet. Bum, bum, bum. It's What's Trending with JB. Live on Wake Up Woodward.
JB Smooth.
Yo, what's going on, chat family? What's going on, fellas? Hey, I'll hop into these videos real quick because I know we got Woodward Wings coming up as well too. Flannel, I just got to show you this video because, like I said, we're recording Woodward Wings pretty soon, and the guy just needed a little bit of help getting back to the bench. I know we've all had that problem.
What? She just needed a little help back to the bench. What happened?
The referee had to carry her back to the opposing bench because I think she might have gave up.
She couldn't skate or something? She got decked?
I hope that she's not seriously hurt or anything and she's just kind of throwing a fit.
Yeah, I think she's just throwing a fit out there.
Okay.
That's you hear the parent in the back
Yeah,
laughing.
yeah. Just I just want to be sure she's not seriously hurt.
This looks like she was on a one-on-one breakaway. Yeah. She hit a divot in the ice and was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Why is my pops making me do this?
Yeah.
Hey, it's
I don't
want
to be a hockey player.
I don't want to do hockey anymore.
Snap.
I don't want to do hockey anymore. But you guys remember the TikTok ban, right? You know, that 24 hours that we spent without TikTok. Well, if you deleted the app, you know, you can no longer download it on your phone anymore from the App Store. But for all those who didn't, as it came back, they are now selling their iPhones with the TikTok app installed on it for over $10,000.
Oh,
Is that real? You can't re-download it?
Yeah,
that's how that goes?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was an itch I never scratched.
Well, Chase, you can buy a phone for $10,000 with it on it.
No, I'm good.
You know the first time I downloaded it? Like, literally like this year for socials, man, or last year for socials. So I can sell this phone for $10,000 and get a new one, a better one?
Yeah, absolutely, right now. Right now.
Hey, JB, you can be my dealer? You can hook that up?
I mean, eBay is going to have to be your dealer. I can just facilitating it for you, you know,
be my
just telling you.
facilitator.
Just letting you know, like, hey, it's out there.
This technocratic world.
Hey, that's what the world has come to. $10,000 right now.
Can't be just normal mobsters no more.
No, you got to be internet
go hit
mobsters.
eBay. Like, what is that?
Yep, you got to be internet mobsters. And I know it's cold out there, so I'll end what's trending with this. This is the coldest park job you will ever see.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
Oh, shit. Damn.
What? I saw this video from another angle. However you found this one is crazy. There's multiple angles of this thing. I saw one from an overhead. This view is even more incredible.
I wanna, if you know, in Tokyo.
Did you do that on purpose?
Fast and Furious.
I don't know, man. That's crazy, dog.
How do you do this? How?
These people having too much fun in the snow down south, man.
They really are.
Way too much.
Oh, yeah.
They really are. They're going crazy down the south with this little snow that they're getting right now.
What do you guys think, man? Is this on purpose or not? I can't tell.
I mean, that's really cool. I thought it was something else. I don't know if you guys saw, like, the water lines in Dearborn broke, and there was cars literally frozen. Yeah, that's what I thought he was about to show us.
You didn't see that?
Oh, no, I didn't see that one.
Oh,
Bro.
I'll send it to you, JB, really quick.
Yeah.
That was wild. Yeah, the people got to see that one.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
see that one, Phantom?
I did.
Those cars were frozen solid.
Maybe
Like,
for tomorrow's or Monday's.
Monday,
yeah.
that was pretty wild, man.
This is wild right here. Amazing park job by this dude. I don't know how it happened, but that's it for what's trending, you guys. Let's hop in some mailbag and finish off the show.
Hey, let's go, man. We got you already read Feldman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump right into this Feldman mailbag segment. We got a few minutes to answer a few questions, and then we got a lot of bonus content we got to record right after the show.
Yes.
Fox 2 segment. Woodward Wings. Shout out to that dude, Justin. I see you in the chat, brother.
Yep.
Shout out to you, man. But
We'll get out of here as soon as we can.
let's rock, man. Hey, let me see. I saw somebody put a Feldman mailbag question earlier in the chat. Are we all caught up with all of the super chats as well?
I believe so, yes.
All right. BigCon51. Feldman mailbag. Best player in the NBA under 7 foot. My vote is Ja Morant. Just got to stay on the court.
Ooh.
I like Ja a lot.
Under 7 foot.
I mean, Ant-Man, a.k.a.
SGA.
Rodney Stuckey?
I'll go SGA.
SGA.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing this for a long time, and now he's refined his game,
Yeah.
which I thought was already refined.
Yeah. No, I think you could go him. You could maybe say Luka. Luka's been out, not having quite the year that he did the previous season, but that's why I think I'll go SGA.
What about you?
What was the question?
The best player under 7 foot.
Ooh,
He went with Ja Morant.
I don't know. That's
And
so
get your
tough.
Feldman questions in, chat family.
I'm just going to go with Cade.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll just go with Cade, sure.
I hope you're right.
It's to the point where it's just like, you know what? The noise he's making this year, the stats that he's putting up, if he keeps doing this, that is just the correct answer in 2 to 3 years. That's
Yep.
just how it goes. Sheesh. But obviously, they got to continue to win, too, man. Let me see here. Feldman mailbag from Steve-O, baby. Sam, are you still going to watch the Super Bowl, even though the Lions are not in it? Because I know last year people refused to watch the Super Bowl. And that's a good question, man. I'm probably still going to watch it.
Oh yeah, I'm still gonna watch it, and a lot of people probably aren't gonna like what I'm about to say, but I was actually cheering at the end of last year's Super Bowl after that game-winning overtime touchdown because I love the NFL, and if the Lions can't win it, give me Patrick Mahomes getting all the accolades he can to pass Brady.
Yeah, I know. Last year we were over. I think Broder and I with the heavies. We went over to Terry Foster's house, man.
Oh, that's what I heard.
Good,
yeah,
pretty good man cave, man. It's actually epic down there. Content needs to be made down there. It's epic. The amount of memorabilia he has, and honestly, kind of being with the homies, I probably wouldn't have watched it if I was just by myself. But being with the homies was like, all right, let's just rip this Band-Aid off right now.
Yeah,
and it was a pretty good game. It was pretty good, festivities, especially with the legend. What about you, brother? You watching Super Bowl at all?
Yeah, I'll probably tune in.
Voice of reason?
Oh, I'll definitely be watching. I'm pretty sure I'll have money on it and squares. So, yeah, I'm going to be watching.
Hey, and you know what? I see John F. and Laura. Feldman Mailbag. How did you feel about the debut of Mance Warner on TNA, JB?
Wait, what was the question? I'm sorry.
How did you feel about the debut of, he said, Mance Warner on TNA?
I have to go back and check that out again. I didn't get a whole lot of time to watch TNA last night. I think I got preoccupied with trying to catch up with some other shows me and my lady had going on. So
JB still got that Clam Jam Slam and that Beaver Biscuit Bomb in his brain.
Jeez. Tap into Woodward ringside. You'll know more about that there.
Hey, E-Fog says, let's go Red Wings. Randall Smalls, Feldman Mailbag. Love your show. Randall, love you, man. Thank you for the support and sticking with us, rocking with us, brother. Like, it means a lot, man. The support means a lot. I see the likes went up a little bit. If you guys haven't got the opportunity to, go ahead and smash it. Have hashtag Feldman Mailbag. Love your show. Will the Lions stay with their pick in lower first round? I feel we will either trade up or trade down. What say you? I mean, we've seen a lot from Brad Holmes with his draft strategy. The one thing we know is we trust it, but what would you personally want to do?
What I would personally want to do, get the best interior O-lineman or edge available at 28. That's what I would probably do.
That is where I'm at. I know there's a lot of people who their pick is all defense for the whole draft. I'm more like you. At first I was all defense, but I had a chance to sleep on it. I said it earlier. I kind of want them to take a chance on a young offensive lineman as well.
Yeah.
What about you, brother?
I'm indifferent. Whatever like Brad thinks is the best move. I mean, I wouldn't hate if we honestly like maybe traded back to the first pick in the second round, and then maybe got some like nice equity from Tennessee, I think, who has the first pick. So I mean, if something like that was possible, where we like don't move back far, like if we do trade back, I'd want to be like right at the beginning of the second round. So
yeah. Yep, JB Smooth, voice of reason. What up, though?
I've seen a lot of mock drafts and kind of been doing a couple of them myself as well too. Jack Sawyer is around that mark that the Lions have that pick for. If not, he kind of goes either like a couple picks above, maybe one or two if anything, but definitely, if there isn't a reach for that spot, jump and get Jack Sawyer at that 28 spot.
Definitely. Jack Sawyer is that's definitely the guilty pleasure, huh? Yeah. Shout out to Jack Sawyer and those dang on Buckeyes. But Jordan from MI, we'll end it on this one. I think this is a really good one. Yesterday, Ryan, I guess that's what Ryan Ermanni was talking about, how the Lions would never reach this level of excitement from this season. Do you guys agree with that?
I think what he meant was that we were really seduced, and rightfully so, over a 15-2 team. But we also could see what could happen once they get to the playoffs. I think we're going to be, as fans, excited if they have a great regular season, but the goal is going to be more about just making it. And 15-2, that's not really a prerequisite for next year. It's just get in any way you can and hopefully have more success in the playoffs this next year.
I do got one quick question for you.
Yes.
Jack Sawyer, if he's sitting there at like 24, what are you doing?
Probably staying put, because I'm not married to Jack Sawyer, but if he's there, I would obviously be cool with it.
And this is a very heavy edge draft as well too, so there are a lot of other options besides Jack Sawyer, but that is obviously like the number one go get.
Yep. No, I was just gauging to see how married he was, Jack Sawyer.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
All right.
The man definitely has a passion for it, though. I'll say that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if he's there, that's a player. When I look at the energy, you look at the resiliency, you look at the adversity and all those types of things. I know as rivals, we're always going to pick at the most negative. But if you're just a ball knower and you love your Lions team, you want the best for them. If he's there, That is a good pick, man. Just period. I remember Michigan State fans who were ecstatic about Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Period. It just is what it is, man. So,
Some.
JB,
I remember.
I was happy for him. I'm just saying.
JB, you're
voice
not
of
a
reason.
crazy person.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
JB,
happy
know,
for
I
him.
know.
I'm not gonna be mad. He's playing for the Lions now. Like, your past teams don't matter to me anymore.
Hey, I think that's the show, though, man.
Yep.
I'm just looking at the chat, man. It's been a good show, very interactive show.
Yes.
Chat family's been engaging as well. I hope you guys stay tapped in with everybody else. Big D Energy, Ermanni and Edwards, and the Woodward Heavyweights. Dante151, Super Chat 199. Have the Tiger sign Bregman yet?
No.
They haven't.
Here you go, brother. Hey, that chest pass. DJ Kavasi, what you got for us?
Oh, let me spin something for us. What's up, though, everybody? Thanks for tapping in. It's been a great week. We got a nice weekend ahead. Stay tapped in, Big D, Sean Belize, on with Neil Rule here in about 57 minutes. We got Ermanni and Edwards with Mass. We got the heavyweights ending the day. And then I think we got a little watch party going on this weekend. So if you guys want to hang out with the WUW Crew or the Woodward Sports Crew and check out some of the conference championship games, stay tapped in this weekend. Other than that, I look forward to hanging out with you guys throughout the day in the chats. Love you, Dad. Shout out the guys at Seymour Ford, and we'll see you guys on a Monday morning. I think I'll be back in the booth.
Yeah. Shout out to Chase. Filling
Back
in
in
for
the Chase
KG
Lounge.
In the Chase Lounge. And I can't wait, man. We got so many different ideas on the way. I can't wait, bro. Mac and Chase. You're gonna lock that down from right?
Yeah, I'd love that, man.
Extreme content.
That'd be awesome.
Extreme content. Y'all gonna want to stay tapped in for Mac. That's D-Mac and Chase. I can't wait. Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth. That's JB Smooth. What up, though, brother?
Yo, Mac and Chase is gonna be wild.
That's
Like
gonna be a wild
I already got ideas myself as well too. But shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone tuning in with us this week as well too. Thanks Chase for being over in the booth. KG, hope everything is good with you, brother. We'll see you back next week. And hey, just stay safe this weekend and tune in to some of the watch parties that we're going to be doing for the conference championships as well.
Definitely. You know what? Up here on this desk, man, ball knower, puck knower, everything sports knower, Red Wings correspondent, Flannel Sam, man, the vet of the squad and the network. Hey, it's been a great week for the show, man. What up, though, brother?
Good to be back. Good to digest everything that's gone on in Detroit sports. Of course, the top thing being the Lions loss, but good to be back and talking about it. And hopefully we have some teams in the playoffs to talk about moving forward for the April in the D.
Hey, let's rock, man. It's your boy Brandon, aka Detroit Kool-Aid. Your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network, man. And this has been the show. I appreciate everybody who chose to kick off the morning with the WUW Crew and supports Wake Up Woodward and all of Detroit sports, man. If you haven't gotten the opportunity to, go ahead and smash that like button. It supports us greatly. It's a free thing as well, man. And I'm telling you guys, it goes a long way for not just our show, but for the network. Shout out to Matthew Broder, that dude Justin, KG. I think that's the show. Have a blessed day, you all. Wake Up Woodward.